Have you heard of a skills gap analysis? If you haven't, I know that term can sound kind of fancy, but it's pretty simple. You currently have a set of skills and you currently have a set of goals. So, you know, take a look at that. There's a gap in between. And within this skills gap analysis, you're taking a look at what are those skills I need to acquire in order to reach the goals that I desire to achieve. And I just want to quickly break down what that skills gap analysis can look like specifically for content creators and entrepreneurs. I think the first place you're going to want to start is clearly identifying those goals. Within this spring refresh series that I'm doing, which is applicable for any time of the year, but with a new season, especially one such as spring, there's so much of that fresh start energy in the air, that clean slate energy in the air. So with that being said, are you in a state of mind where you can just write down some goals, whether that be for the current year, within 3 years, within 5 years? Where are you trying to get to? That's the first place you wanna wanna start. And let's keep it in the context of your content creation goals or your business goals. Where are you trying to get to? The next thing that you're going to want to do is, okay, so what are the required skills in order to reach some of the content and business goals that you wrote down? For example, video editing, getting better at SEO or writing, graphic design. And there's a list of skills needed to achieve these goals. And I'm not perfect, you're not perfect. Like, we always have some learning that we can do. So getting clear about the skills that you need to obtain is really that first baby step in order to get them. So then you're going to want to find a way to do some sort of self-assessment. I think self-assessments look different for everybody, but a simple one could be a journal exercise. I'm a huge fan of writing and journaling. Journaling has helped me get to know myself very, very well over the years. And you can really have a conversation with yourself, an intentional conversation with yourself, and be like, all right, what are we doing here? How have I been performing? Self-assessment, performance review, just taking an analytical eye or approach to you in this current moment and being honest about the areas you're doing well in and then the areas where you can improve. You can also do a quick Google search on self-assessment exercises, or perhaps there's different websites and quizzes that you can fill out in order to do this type of self-assessment. But essentially, the goal with the self-assessment is to evaluate your current skills against the list that you made. Because just kind of circling back to that skills list, you also want to highlight some of what are the skills that you are not a complete beginner in. You have some sort of experience, then there's skills you have no experience in. You really need to put in a lot more effort to learn them. And then you have the skills that are good at in relation to these content goals or these business goals. So then it comes to the point of identifying the gaps. Highlight areas where your skills fall short compared to what's required. I kind of think I just touched on that, but this is the part within the skills gap analysis where it's like you're focusing heavily on the fall short part. You are inadequate in these other areas, or in these certain areas. You have a lot of growing to do in certain areas, and that's okay. The thing about doing this skill gap analysis is to spend some time bringing these things up to surface, bringing these things to the forefront, because you can't necessarily work on something that isn't top of mind for you, or that has constantly been put to the side because you're trying to put out other different fires. So I hope trying to figure out these areas where, once again, you fall short in isn't viewed as a negative thing. It's just a pure honesty thing. Like, an area that I can improve on in relation to my content goals is it's hard for me to answer that question because I feel like I'm trying to improve in all areas with this content creation thing, really. But I have one. I need to learn the skill set involved with pitching myself to brands and getting brand deals. That's something that's super foreign to me. I don't have any experience in. I haven't worked with brands before, and I'm just kind of a full blown newbie. I'm a nano influencer newbie. And I have to learn how to write brand pitch emails and everything like that. And it's been kind of daunting so far in order to embark on this particular journey within my content creation. But yeah, that's an area where I need to grow. I'm falling short in, and though I don't view it as negative, I do view it as, ugh, this is going to be difficult. Definitely going to be a learning curve. So the next thing within the skills gap analysis is like, okay, so what are you going to, out of these skills that you need to learn, what are you going to prioritize? Just using myself as an example with my whole brand deal pitching related skills, I currently want to prioritize the art of pitching myself in an email and the art of getting on a brand's radar or connecting with brands, just doing different things like that to put me in a better position to maybe get a brand deal one day. Like that's a priority for me because I want to learn that skill set, and it also is a money generating activity. That's what I want to be doing in my life right now. I don't know about you, but that's what I want to be doing. So determine which skills are most critical for your goals. I have finance related goals. I have things that I want to do, impact that I want to make, experiences that I want to have. I want to know what it feels like to have a brand deal and what the process is like, what happens. So that's how I'm prioritizing things. But for you, you just want to make sure you're putting first things first. Yes, there's a bunch of skills or a good amount of skills you may need to acquire and improve on, but what is most important for the goals that you have? And that's why we started doing this, by identifying our goals. And then you got to make a plan for improvement. That can look different for everybody, but you want to create a plan or have a strategy in place to acquire or enhance these skills identified in the gaps portion. So, what does that look like? That could be, okay, I want to improve my video editing as an example. Then, in order to make a plan for that improvement, you would maybe look for a video editing course that you can take, whether that be online or finding a local person who's doing these types of courses. That's a plan of action, because if you do the course, your skills should improve. Maybe it's going to workshops, again, either online or in person. It could just simply be, working, finding different people teaching this particular skill and figuring out how to learn it from them. Within that same vein, mentorship, maybe you don't want to do a group setting such as a class or a workshop. Maybe you just want that one-on-one. So that can look like working with a mentor or getting a coach if the skill is relevant to working with a coach, or working with a consultant. Whatever is best for your learning style, you want to research that and make a plan of action. And then once that's in place, you need to make a different set of goals. So these are goals that kind of measure your progress with improving these skills. I think a good way to look at it is, say, writing was one of the skills you want to improve. Maybe the goal could be, I will write 2 hours every day, Monday through Friday, and then I will measure how I've been, like, I'll see what that does for me. I don't know exactly what it could look like, but you just want to make sure your progress goals are specific, so then you can have like a true way of seeing if you're improving or not. And then ultimately, Learning is a lifelong process. Developing skills is a lifelong process, especially when it comes to content creation and building a business. Those are two things that require a set of skills. Dan Coe, a creator on here, likes to refer to that as a skill stack. And I think that's a nice, neat word to put it. So we have a lot of skills to improve upon. And I just want us to take time to refresh ourselves in that way. Your skills lead to or have a lot to do with like your output and the work that you're doing. You want to update your system, you know, in a sense. Like when we have our iPhones and they say it's ready for an update, that's tuning everything up. And I just want us to look at ourselves in that way as creators, as business people, or even if you're not within those spaces, whatever you got going on, it's always good every few months to do a tune-up, an assessment, an analysis, however we want to put it. So I hope this was helpful, and I will see you in my next video.